Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and I am your host, Jason Salzman, here at Mvskoke Vision, and these are my two little co-hosts today. We have Peyton Salzman and Sophie Salzman. They are out of school as their teachers are at the Capitol and fighting for education. So I proudly have them at work with me today, and they are on the show, and we've got a great show for you, don't we, girls?
Yes.
All right, so we're excited about a lot of great things to get to this week.
And we can get donuts.
Yes, and we can get donuts too. That'll be a little, and some chocolate milk. That's right. But we're going to have all kinds of stuff for you today on the show. Lots of great material. So don't go anywhere. Go get you some donuts. Go get you some chocolate milk. Come back and get ready for the program, because like I said, we've got education stories, and we've got the Secretary of Education here, all kinds of things going on. So it's going to be a great program. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Mvskoke Vision. And the Salzman Bunch is back for our first pitch of the day, and it is to the Mvskoke Creek Nation Secretary of Education, Greg Anderson. I had a chance to sit down with Greg and talk with him about the state of education in the state of Oklahoma and what's going on, and really what the Mvskoke Creek Nation's response has been to what's happening, and really the principal chief, the cabinet level discussions that have been taking place on this, and really what is going to happen, because as you can see, some people may have to bring their kids to school to work while school is out. So we asked those type of questions to Secretary of Education Greg Anderson. Also got a little bit of info on him about the budget that was put forth from the president recently, and he had a chance to go and talk before the Senate Indian Affairs Commission. So we got to talk to him about a lot of great pertinent topics, a lot of great things in education. And so here is our interview with the Secretary of Education here at Creek Nation, Greg Anderson.
I think most of it, what the issues we're facing right now didn't come upon us in the last 5 or 10 years. This has been an ongoing problem for the last probably 30 or 40 years, not paying the teachers competitive wages versus the surrounding states. So a lot of the issues that we're dealing with in the last 6 months there in Oklahoma City specifically with Bill 1010 that was passed last night. They've been trying to do this for a long time, but there has never been a way to really provide a financial framework to fund the teacher raises. They've been needed for years, so they finally figured out a way. They believe that we can address that issue and hopefully get a funding source that's going to be sustainable into the future. So that's where we're at, and I know there's a lot of activity. I've been in Oklahoma City the last 2 days, meeting with Superintendent Hoffmeister. We talked about the funding issues. We've talked about the teacher shortage. So there's a lot of challenges out there that we're all going to have to face, and the Mvskoke Creek Nation is willing to assist the state and the public schools any way we can in those areas to help address those challenges. Chief Floyd is very engaged. We have conversations, and he knows what's going on. He's aware of the challenges. He's aware of some things that maybe we've offered as if this would happen, how would we react? So Chief Poit, he's always very engaged in the topic of education. That's, of course, very important to him. He and I do have conversations along with Second Chief, and Second Chief is a former superintendent, so he understands the dynamics of everything that's going on. So he's well aware. We have spoke about, if this happens, what will our reaction be? What can we do? As a nation, there's not a lot we can do, but we do understand why the teachers have proposed a walkout. We hope it doesn't come to that point, but if it happens, we certainly understand why. And I think, you know, we want to maintain our solidarity with our teachers here in the 67 schools that, within the Mvskoke Creek Nation. But I also think that would affect, people don't understand the implications of a walkout, of parents not being able to go to work, not finding daycare because they have to watch their kids missing work. Some may not have leave. They may take leave without pay. So the implications run very deep. And so we have to be understanding, and I've had my staff approach, what if this happens? We're going to have to take off. We understand. I'm okay with it. We will work with you. We will make sure we all get through this together. And I think that's the approach that the nation is going to take. Oh, you're exactly right. The title programs, specifically Title VI, Indian Ed, Johnson O'Malley, Impact Aid, you know, where we're from, Eufaula, benefits greatly from Impact Aid. Those dollars are used in a multitude of areas that not only benefit Indian children, but benefit the entire student population, which some schools get more than others. But I tell you, those are helping plug some holes that normally, under these circumstances, I mean, how else do you do it? So what they're doing is helping sustain a lot these schools in a lot of areas where if it wasn't for a lot of that funding, I don't know where they'd be. They'd be worse off certainly than where they are right now. But I know that our Indian education programs are really assisting our local schools in many areas. Some of them just address our Indian students. However, some of them address the entire student population. So they're fortunate, and they understand that. I've been at functions. I was at Glenpool the other night, and they're making the most out of the funds that they get from our Indian education programs and doing well. Well, I was in D.C. in February, Valentine's Day. I had the opportunity to speak before the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs. And at that particular meeting, there were questions. The President's budget had just come out. We were assured by Senators Murkowski and some of the others that pay no attention to that budget. It will go to the Hill. It will go to Congress. There will be adjustments. It may not be to the level that we want, but it'll be better than what we saw. You mentioned the Johnson O'Malley. That bill is moving on Senate Bill 943, passed last Friday morning at 1 a.m., passed through the Senate on a voice vote. It has moved on to the House of Representatives. Hopefully it will clear there. I'm told there is no opposition. What that bill will do is mandate a new student count, which has not been done since 1995. And there will be a substantial gain in students. We're hoping, and we have been told, that once that count is complete, that we get the new count, and hopefully funding will follow. And we're hoping to increase the funding per student substantially. That will more than make up for the deficit that we saw, and that will help these local schools as well offset some of the cost, and we think it'll be a great benefit for not only our Native students, but the school in general. I think for the most part what we hear is there's a frustration with the lack of effort to find funding for teacher raises and to move the Oklahoma education picture from number 49 or 50, depending on what what data you read, to somewhere that we're competitive with Texas and Arkansas and the surrounding states. I think one issue kind of fuels it all. It's how do you fund the raises? And I think when you do that, you're going to be able to address the teacher shortage. It's economics. Teachers leave Oklahoma for higher pay. You or I, normally in our occupations, when you market yourself, obviously you want to get paid a wage that is competitive and you think that is your value. And we have good teachers in Oklahoma. NSU, East Central, produce a lot of good quality teachers. And I think the large majority of Oklahomans who go into the teaching business want to stay in Oklahoma. A lot of them want to stay in the area where they grew up. And that's why they get in the business. They want to teach. They know nobody's going to become millionaires from being a teacher or in education, but it's a passion. It's what they want to do. And that's what I hear. The frustration is this is an occupation that we love. It's something we want to do. We're just asking for a fair and equitable rate of pay. It's pretty simple. Economics, they want to provide the best they can for their family. In Oklahoma, we're challenged to do that simply because the state has not funded appropriately in those areas.
All right, we want to thank Greg Anderson for his comments there, Secretary of Education Greg Anderson, and he is a busy man these last couple of weeks, going to the state JOM conference, as I said, Washington, D.C. there, and also Greg, this past week, was at the National JOM conference that came back to Tulsa to River Spirit. Now, this was a special occasion for us at Mvskoke Media because we got a chance to talk with former Congressman J.C. Watts, and J.C. Watts has been lobbying for JOM for some time with Watts Partners on behalf of Mvskoke Creek Nation, and also he's a personal friend of Greg Anderson's, grew up in Eufaula, like yours truly, and those guys had me for an exclusive talk with J.C. Watts, so I got an interview with him talking about education, not only in Oklahoma, but what he's been doing for JOM, and also the National Indian Education Association Executive Director talking about the state of JOM. Great content here.
The National Johnson O'Malley Association held its annual conference in Tulsa this week at River Spirit Casino Resort. Onawake Rose, the executive director of the National Indian Education Association, talked about what a critical time it is for Indian education.
Native people really need to be advocating right now, especially around education. We're looking at really being under attack in two fronts. The first around appropriations are our budget asks. We are seeing decreases in the budget in the way that we've not seen, at least in the past decade, not only around construction, but our basic ISIP dollars, and this is for the Bureau of Indian Education. And we're also seeing decreases in the Department of Education, not as significant, but still we're seeing those cuts. But the second thing that I'm incredibly concerned about is a move to start vouchering our BIE system. We're having a huge conversation in DC right now about ways that both Impact Aid and the Bureau of Indian Education might be turned into a voucher-like program, which would decimate our schools and is a complete eradication of their trust responsibility. So aside from paying attention overall to the way that our systems should be created, it's the fact that we're under attack around our budgets, and our schools would almost be eliminated and closed down if our dollars continue to be slashed in the way that they are.
Former Congressman J.C. Watts gave a keynote address and talked about being in the battle for JOM in Washington for years and how glad he was to be a part of the conference.
Well, I'm Jason honored that Secretary Anderson, Principal Chief Floyd, and Jackie would think enough of me to extend an invitation for me to come and be a part of 3 weeks ago's Oklahoma JOM, and then now the National. So I've had a chance to see some old friends and make some new friends, and at the same time talk about something that my company in Washington and I as a member of Congress was involved in down in the trenches the Johnson O'Malley effort.
Watts also talked about growing up in Eufaula and being exposed to Native culture and how that's helped him understand why JOM funding is so vital.
When you talk Native American community to J.C. Watts, it's about relationship. I mean, as I've said on many occasions, I talked in my latest book about, Perry Anderson, my high school football coach, sowing into my life. Paul Bell, Perry Anderson was full-blood Creek Indian. Paul Bell was white. J.C. Watts Sr. was black. So I was in a triangle there that I had no choice but to go out and do it because the message was the same. No excuses, just go do it. And so, but again, when you talk about J.C. Watts in the 60 years that I've lived, I grew up around Native American culture. But the older I got, the more blessed I realized that I was to be able to experience different cultures, but same values. Values of hard work, faith, common sense, sacrifice, just go get it done. Those were the values that I got from red, white, and black in my world.
Watts grew up with Mvskoke Nation Principal Chief James Floyd and Secretary of Education Greg Anderson. Now JOM advocacy brings them together again.
It is somewhat ironic that we're all connected through the JOM, but at the same time, there was a connection long before any of us knew what JOM was.
Both Rose and Watts also weighed in on current situations in Oklahoma, with the schools out and teachers demanding education funding.
Well, NIA made a specific statement in support of the teachers this week. When you look at budget cuts within a state, it's Indian students that are going to be impacted the most. So when Oklahoma started doing things like shortening their school week to 4-day a week, that was Creek country, that was Cherokee country that was being significantly hurt by 4-day a week school weeks. When you look at budget cuts from the state, they also start turning to supplemental funding. So dollars that were specifically meant for Indian kids, like Title VI dollars, then don't become just specific for Indian students to assist their education. They become much needed system-wide dollars to support a school system. So NIA is very much in favor of making sure our schools are funded at the levels they are supposed to be, and that teachers receive the much needed critical funding that they need, because our students deserve nothing better than schools and teachers that are performing and being rewarded at the levels that they need to be.
JOM is an effort that augments public school funding, and right now Oklahoma, we're in the battle of trying to find more resources for education, find more resources to pay our teachers. Well, in an interesting time in Oklahoma, JOM is still chugging along, supplementing public school funding in Oklahoma.
All right, we want to thank everybody up there at River Spirit holding a great event last week. The National Johnson O'Malley Association, they were very kind to have us up as well. I actually had a chance to talk with Carla Mann. She is the president of the National Johnson O'Malley Association, and she gave us some comments on Senate Bill 943, which of course Mr. Anderson referenced in his interview. It's very important to JOM funding. It really modernizes the counting of students. And didn't know this, but the counting had not been affected or changed since 1995. So that's going to really affect the counting and the amount of funds that they're able to get for JOM students in the country. So follow that on MvskokeMedia.com. That will be in our print story on the National JOM. Well, moving right along, a big event this Sunday, right down 75. If you go from Altmalgi to Tulsa very much, or Tulsa to Altmalgi, you can't help but see the Duck Creek Casino, and they are expanding. With the grand opening of that expansion on Sunday, Duck Creek Casino is very excited.
This has been my dream since I became the general manager here, because I'm a Creek citizen, and making money for the tribe is why I'm here.
Duck Creek Casino is expanding. A grand opening of the expansion will kick off Sunday at 5 p.m. We talked with General Manager Lorinda Driscoll about the project and how proud she is of her operation.
Actually, the planning started about 2 years ago. I became general manager here about 2 years ago, and we're adding 8,000 square feet of gaming space, a little over 200 gaming machines. I'm very proud of this property and our team. These employees here are amazing. They have the best teamwork that I've that I've seen in a long time, and I've been at several of our properties. But this team, they work together. It's a family, and the fact that we're having to expand is phenomenal because that means they're doing what we're supposed to do, and I'm very proud of them.
The big event starts Sunday, but Driscoll explained lots of activities that will extend into Monday.
At 5:30, we're going to do a ribbon cutting at the south entrance under the porte cochere. At 6 o'clock, we're going to start a VIP event where we've invited our top 600 players to come in. They'll be the first ones to get to play these machines. Those people and our National Council, our GOEB, and our dignitaries from River Spirit will be here. They'll get to play these machines if they're not shared services. And we're going to have champagne, beer. It's a private event, so we'll be able to do that. We're serving a walk-around dinner that River Spirit is catering for us. It's a wonderful menu. We're going to have Budweiser here. They're going to do a tasting of their new premium products for us. We're giving away t-shirts, gift bags, while supplies last. After the VIP event is over at about 9 o'clock, we'll take the curtain down and we'll let the public in. And then Monday we're having a radio remote from KBOO. They'll be on site, and Pepsi will be here as well doing a small promotion, giving away the big coolers. And we'll be giving away the first 50 people that check in at Players Club. When the promotion starts, we'll get a free lunch.
For Driscoll, herself celebrating a career milestone, all the success and growth at Duck Creek Casino comes from one goal.
24 years in gaming as of actually today. And I want to do the nation proud. I'm a Creek citizen, and this is what makes me happy.
All right, our last feature of the day, I'm so proud of you girls, you've done good, is of a Mvskoke Creek citizen with a new hairstylist salon, Upscale Hair, here in downtown Altmalgi. It is Julie Wynn. As I said, a Mvskoke Creek citizen. She's been doing hair for years, but she's very excited about her new shop. And Devaney Luxinger went over and got this story for us.
Well, it's not repetitious for one thing. I like that, meeting different people, and also, well, when I first got out of beauty college, I was really shy. I couldn't even talk to anyone. I'm like, ah. And so that pulled me out of it. You have to talk to your clients, and I don't know, pulled me out of that. I'm a talker now. Why do I like? I just like doing hair. I like meeting different people. I like doing hair color. I like to see before and after. Maybe that's what it is. Because when I was growing up, I was a teenager, I would have my friends come over, didn't know what I was doing, I'd cut their hair. I didn't know, sometimes it turned out good, but I wasn't trained, you know, so. But I guess that's what it was. I like to see them before and after. Let's see, I was 25, did hair for about 5 years. No, I was 24. And I don't know, I just decided I was renting a booth from this woman here in Altmalgi, and the shop it's over on Mission by OSU. And I just decided I wanted to I thought I can do this. I was renting a booth, I could own this place. And I'll just collect their booth rent. It's just nice having something that's yours, you know, and it really is. I love talking to people. I'm a people person now. I started out shy, but I pulled out of it quickly. And I just like meeting new people, and it's fun. I actually enjoy my work. Here, I've been doing hair since 1980. That's what, 38 years? Oh my gosh. And I still love it. I can honestly say that. Like when somebody comes in, especially a stranger I don't know, that's the ones I like. Because especially somebody that needs to be made over, you know. I like to see their reaction when I get done. They look in that mirror, oh my gosh, and I like to show them how to do their hair so they can do it. A lot of times they'll get their hair done, and when they go home, I don't know how she did, how come I can't make it look this way? I like to try to show them how to do it, to do the hair, so when they go home, they can get that same effect. Sure, because the way they look, that's everything. Your self-image, you know, you look in the mirror, and if you don't like what you see, that's going to have an effect on your self-esteem, your confidence. But if you look good when you look in that mirror, yes, I can do this. You know, really. Because that's the first, when you go in to apply for a job or whatever, just meeting someone, they're going to look at you first. That's the you know, they're going to look at you and think, wow. Either way, good or bad. So it's good to be looking nice when you go to work or wherever. Just make sure you look nice when you go out in public if you can. Never know who you're going to see. Like, for instance, someone comes in and maybe they have all one length hair down to here and they're wanting something really cute or something really pretty, edgy. Like, to do dimensional colors pretty. It looks great on people. But it starts with your hair. You got to have a good haircut, good color, and then anything else will look good. You put your makeup on, whatever. Starts with that hair color and that haircut, that style. Or say, oh, you just do hair for a living? That's not hard. I'd say you need to come with me and do what I do for even a day, a week, and see how you do. And it's not vain at all. It's like making people look better and feel better about themselves. If that's vanity, hey, you know, I mean, and it's not easy work. Just standing on your feet, you know, all day, especially when it's super busy, you don't have a break. You know, it's hard work, but again, I love it. I really do. Yeah, I mean, you'll have those people that try to tell you you can't do it, or, you know, it's not going to work. You don't have the money, you don't have this or that. You do. If you want something bad enough, you can do it. You can. And that goes for, you know, any young person out there. If you want it bad enough, and it's realistically possible, it can be done. But you got to take the proper steps to get there. You can't just go open the door and say, okay, God, help me out here. You got to do your work too, your part. You got to study it out, research it. Is this a good area, say, for a hair salon? Is this a good location? Is, you know, whatever your job might be. You just make sure you do your research before you open up your own business. And you'll succeed, you know. With God's help, you can do anything. And that's the honest God truth.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Mvskoke Vision. We know it's been pretty interesting, hasn't it, ladies?
Yes.
Very interesting. All right, we have had a great time. As I said, myself, Jason Salzman, along with Peyton Salzman and Sophie Salzman, and they are with me today at work doing the show because they're not in school. We still got teachers up at the Capitol fighting for education, advocating for education funding. We've certainly covered it very thoroughly here at Mvskoke Media, and we'll continue to do so as all of the updates are made available to us. So, guys, anything you want to add before we leave? That's it? Okay. Everybody, and have a great week. No, for Peyton Salzman, Sophie Salzman, I'm Jason Salzman, Jared Moore here working hard behind the scenes. We really want to thank you guys for watching us each and every week. Continue following us on all of our social media sites and at mvskokemedia.com. We'll see you guys next week. Say bye, guys.
Bye.